Maybe this feels familiar. You're lying there at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every word, every smile, every fight. You tell yourself you've moved on, but deep down there's still that ache, that voice that whispers, if I had just done one thing differently, maybe she'd still be here. If this is you, you're tired of pretending you don't care. You scroll past her pictures, trying not to flinch, trying not to think about who she's with now. You keep asking yourself, how does she go from loving me to acting like I never existed? You've tried everything. Walking away, staying silent, even convincing yourself she'll realize what she lost. But it never happens, not yet, because no one ever told you that the moment she truly regrets losing you isn't when you chase her or wait for her, it's when something shifts inside you. There's one move, one silent, powerful shift that makes her start to feel everything you've been feeling, the confusion, the emptiness, the longing. And when you do this once, she won't just think about you. She'll crave in the version of you she never truly understood until it was too late. So the real question is, are you ready to make her feel what you've been feeling all along? Listen, most men get this part wrong, not because they're weak, but because no one ever told them what true strength actually looks like when a woman pulls away, when she leaves. Most guys panic. They think, and if I just show her how much I care, she'll see my worth. And so they chase, explain, beg, try to fix things. But here's the truth. The moment you try to convince someone to love you again, you hand over all your power. You see, masculine energy isn't about chasing. It's about leading. It's about being centered, calm, and unshakable, even when your emotions are screaming for you to do the opposite. The real test isn't how much you care about her. It's how well you can hold yourself together when she no longer does. Here's the part most men never realize. Attraction isn't reignited by words, it's reignited by energy. The version of you that she fell for wasn't desperate, emotional, or lost. He was grounded, focused. He had a quiet confidence that made her feel safe and a little bit challenged. When you start trying to get her back, you stop being that man. You become someone who's seeking approval instead of commanding respect. A core masculine principle most men never understand is this. You never chase what's running from you. You stand still and let it circle back to what's real. Because when you stop reacting, when you stop trying to prove something, she starts to feel the space you've created. And in that space, she starts to miss you. Not because of guilt or manipulation, but because she feels your absence differently now. So if you truly want her to beg to have you back, stop moving toward her and start moving toward yourself. Rebuild your focus, your purpose, your self-respect. Let silence speak louder than words ever could, because the man who can walk away calmly is the man she'll never forget. He hadn't heard her voice in weeks, the kind of silence that fills a room and hums in your chest. Every sound seemed louder now. The hum of the fridge, the echo of his footsteps, the soft creak of the chair she used to sit in. He'd scroll past her name in his phone every night, thumb hovering, heart pounding, whispering to himself, "Don't do it. Not this time." There was a time he would have sent that long message, the one that starts calm but ends with, "I just don't understand what happened," but not tonight. Tonight he just sat there, breathing, letting the silence do what words never could. He remembered the day she walked out, no shouting, no tears, just a quiet, "I think I need space." And he gave it, but not really. He'd still checked her stories, still wondered who she was texting, still lived in that invisible chain between what they were and what he wished they could be. But something shifted one morning. He woke up and felt tired, not of her, but of I himself, the version that waited, hoped, begged the universe to change her mind. He looked in the mirror and saw a man who had forgotten what he stood for. That's when it hit him. Love shouldn't cost your self-respect, so he did the hardest thing a man can do. He stopped trying. No text. No reaction, just presence. He went for a run instead of checking his phone. He started eating better, sleeping more, and saying no to the noise in his head that whispered, "What if she never comes back?" Days turned into weeks, and for the first time he started feeling like himself again. There was a calm in his voice now, a steadiness she hadn't heard in months. Then, one night, his phone lit up, her name, just her name, no message yet, just the name that used to control him, and he smiled, not out of pride or revenge, but because he finally understood, it was never about making her chase him. It was about becoming the man who didn't need her to. And in that stillness, that quiet strength, she started to remember the man she fell for, the one who didn't try to be loved, but simply was worth loving. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Just stand tall in your silence and let the world and her feel the weight of what they lost. Most men walk around with the wrong map when it comes to love and loss. They've been told that if they just love hard enough, prove themselves enough, or show her how much they care, She'll see their worth and come running back, but that's not how this works. That's one of the biggest lies men have been sold. Here's the truth. Love doesn't return because you chase it. It returns when you restore yourself. When she leaves, most men go into panic mode. They start sending long messages, explaining everything, promising to change, hoping that effort will fix what broke. But that energy, that desperation, doesn't attract her back. It repels her because whether she realizes it or not, she's not drawn to your need for her. She's drawn to your center, your calm, your quiet confidence. When you're begging for her attention, you're telling her and yourself, my value depends on you. And the moment a man ties his worth to a woman's reaction, he stops being who she was ever attracted to in the first place. One of the false beliefs men hold is this: if she walks away, I've lost everything. No, you haven't lost everything. You've been given a mirror, one that's showing you where you stopped showing up for yourself. You didn't lose her. You lost your grounding, your sense of purpose, your edge. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. Let that sink in. Because when a man disconnects from his mission, from his standards, from that inner stillness that makes him magnetic, she feels it. Women are deeply intuitive. They can feel when your strength has turned into insecurity, and no amount of words can cover that energy. Another false belief. If I don't chase her, she'll forget me. Wrong again. When you chase, you remind her why she left. When you pull back, when you stop reacting, when you shift all that energy into becoming unshakable again, that's when she starts to feel something she hasn't felt in a long time. The loss of your presence. Because presence is power. It's not loud. It's not angry. It's the quiet certainty that says, I know who I am, with or without you. And here's the crazy part. The moment you truly let go, not as a trick, not as a test, but from a place of peace, that's when she starts to look back. Because you've changed the story. You're no longer the man waiting for her approval. You're the man she once had to earn the attention of. You see, this isn't about revenge or playing games. It's about awakening. About remembering the man you were before fear made you forget. The one who had standards, boundaries, purpose. So the next time you catch yourself wondering what she's thinking, flip the question, what am I becoming? Because when you return to yourself, your focus, your discipline, your calm, she'll feel it. Maybe not today, maybe not next week. But she will, and when she does, that silence that once hurt her will start to haunt her. You don't win her back by chasing her. You win her back by becoming the man she can't replace. Most men react when they lose a woman. They chase, they overthink, they try to fix what went wrong. But the 3% man, he moves differently. He feels the pain, yes, but he doesn't let it define him. This is what he understands. Love is not maintained through control. It's sustained through energy, through presence, through the calm certainty of a man who knows who he is, even when everything around him feels uncertain. He doesn't fall apart when she pulls away. He doesn't spiral into self-doubt or stories about not being enough. He pauses, he breathes, he observes his own emotions without letting them dictate his next move. Because the 3% man understands something most men never learn. When you stop trying to get love, you start to embody it. This is what he understands. He doesn't need to prove his worth to anyone because he lives from a place where worth is already settled. He knows that his value doesn't rise or fall based on her attention, her texts, or her approval. That quiet confidence, that grounded self-assurance is what makes him magnetic. He's not unfeeling. He just doesn't lead with emotion. He leads with clarity. When she leaves, he doesn't chase, not because he doesn't care, but because he respects the natural balance of attraction. He knows that pressure kills desire, so instead of pushing, he gives space. Instead of begging, he rebuilds. Instead of losing himself in her absence, he returns deeper into himself. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. His silence isn't punishment, it's power. It's the kind of stillness that makes people wonder what he's thinking, what he's doing, what changed inside him. He doesn't rush the process. He trusts it because he knows growth takes time, and attraction, real attraction, only comes back when a man stands tall in who he is. The 3% man doesn't. Confuse confidence with ego. He's not trying to show her he's moved on just to get a reaction. He moves on because he's committed to his evolution, not her validation. That's the difference. Most men act from emptiness. The 3% man acts from fullness. He understands that feminine energy isn't drawn to words. It's drawn to presence. It's drawn to the calm strength that says, I want you, but I don't need you. That's what creates respect. That's what creates desire. And here's the shift. He doesn't see her leaving as rejection. He sees it as redirection. A chance to sharpen himself, to return to his focus, his purpose, his discipline. He knows that every loss carries a lesson, and every setback refines the man he's becoming. When she finally looks back, and she will, she won't see the same man she left. She'll see a version of him that grew from the pain instead of being defined by it, a man who let the silence make him stronger, because the 3% man doesn't wait for someone to come back. He becomes the man worth returning to. And when you understand that, everything about the way you move, speak, and live starts to change. It happens quietly, not in a dramatic moment or a grand gesture, but in the kind of silence that makes you finally hear your own heartbeat again. You wake up one morning and realize you haven't checked your phone in hours. No anxious scrolling, no waiting for her name to appear, just stillness. And in that stillness, something inside you shifts. You look around your room, the same walls, the same light through the curtains, but it feels different now. For weeks, everything reminded you of her. Every song, every street, every place you once stood together. But today, you see yourself again. You notice how heavy your shoulders have felt, how much of your strength you gave away trying to prove you were worth staying for. You sit with that realization, the kind that doesn't hurt, but heals in its own quiet way, because deep down you finally understand something you've always missed. You were never waiting for her to come back. You were waiting to come back to yourself. All this time you thought love was about holding on, but maybe real love, the kind that lasts, begins when you finally let go. You stop chasing closure, stop begging for answers that only leave you emptier. You stop performing for someone's approval and start living for your own peace. You remember who you were before the doubt, before the silence, before the version of you that twisted himself into someone else's story, the one who laughed without waiting for permission, the one who knew his own value without needing to hear it. And in that moment of remembering, there's no anger, no resentment, just clarity. You realize she didn't take anything from you. She only revealed where you stopped giving to yourself. You stand up, you walk to the mirror, and for the first time in a long time, you don't see a man waiting. You see a man returning. His eyes are calmer now, his jaw a little firmer, his posture quietly proud, because he's no longer trying to prove anything. He's simply being, you whisper to yourself, not to convince, but to affirm, I'm not chasing what's meant to find me. That's the turning point. The moment when the power shifts, when you stop hoping she'll realize your worth and start living like you already know it, that's when everything changes. Not because she sees you differently, but because you finally do. And maybe someday she'll look back and wonder what happened. How the man who once needed her became the one she can't stop thinking about. But by then, it won't matter, because the truth is, the moment you remembered your worth, she lost her grip. That's the quiet magic of self-respect. It doesn't scream, it doesn't chase, it just stands there, calm, grounded, untouchable. And that's the moment every man who's been through heartbreak deserves to reach. The moment you finally realize you were never losing her, you were finding you. The moment you stop chasing her love and start protecting your peace, she'll finally feel the gravity of the man she lost, the one who remembered his worth in the silence she left behind.